Well, hello and welcome. This is the Zwift Power Up Cycling Podcast. I'm Matt Rowe, joined today by Kristin Armstrong. How are things, Kristin?
Good. Everything's great. Just transitioning from that beautiful fall weather to a little bit more of a winter-like feel.
You flushing the toilet, Greg?
It's not. It's my roommate.
I'm like, seriously?
It's not.
I know that sound.
It's my roommate. Just gone live, flushing the toilet.
That's all right. We can keep going.
Oh, classic.
Oh my gosh.
Who's your roommate? Who is he?
Nicky Sorensen. Remember Nicky Sorensen?
Oh, get him on the podcast next time.
Get him on the podcast. Yeah, I will.
Cool. So, and how's that little elf on the shelf behaving? I see you post him on Instagram a little bit.
I know. It's like that love-hate. It definitely takes a lot of creativity to do this for 25 days because the elf, the expectation is that on December 1st, Hermie, our elf, arrives.
Hermie.
And I tell you what, now there's this expectation because I did that whole social media thing and people are waiting for those pictures every morning.
Yeah. Awesome. Good stuff. And Hendy, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm well. I'm over in Europe at the moment, training camp with Israel Cycling Academy in Croatia. So, it's great fun.
Good stuff. That's, correct me if I'm wrong, your first role in a pro cycling team not as a rider. How is it? A bit weird, or are you adapting okay?
It is really weird, actually. No, and I've spoken a fair bit about that. It's my first time on the other side. Obviously, I've been to 15 or 16 training camps, but this is the first one where, I'm sitting in directors' meetings and helping with the coaching and helping athletes with gym sessions. So, I love it. That's the stuff I love to do. But it's my first training camp in the World Tour level on this side of the fence, so to speak.
Nice one.
And Rowe, actually, mate, I heard a little rumor. I was on the interweb, and I saw something about a national title in rowing. Anything you could elaborate on there for us?
You've been on Sky Sports News, have you? Or you?
Yes, I have. Sky Sports News.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the Welsh Championships, Indoor Rowing Championships? Got second, actually, in the team relay, which was quite good fun.
You bagged a podium.
Yeah, bagged the podium, mate. So
Nice.
We lost to the Army. The Welsh, 4 Welsh blokes from the Army won. We were second, which was quite good. So going to do it again next year. Definitely do the British Champs then, and see where it goes. So just something different, but yeah, good fun, mate.
Yeah, good on you. Well done.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Zwift. What's been going on in Zwift? Yeah, I think Tour of London is back. Well, is one thing. Back with a twist, and as usual, it's a 5-stage tour, but it's got a few tweaks. Do you guys do any of these tours and that on Zwift, or are you more a workout type of guy or girl?
I've been sticking to the workouts. I haven't actually been able to string that many days together on Zwift.
Oh, I love the stage races, or if you want to say I didn't like to use the word stage races, but I find that the stages, the back-to-back opportunities on Zwift have really, now that I'm not racing competitively, and the structured workouts are great, but I like to enter into these events almost because it keeps my mind off of the work at hand. I find myself suffering like I've never suffered before. In fact, just this past week, I was in one of the events and I did the 3 stages, and the last 2 stages, it was a little bit cooler in Boise, and so I brought Chloe in on the last 2 stages, and I have some of the best text messages from her, basically how she completely came undone. She feels like she's never worked so hard. I mean, it was an unbelievable experience for her as well. And we're talking about someone that's in a world-class, level. So I think that it's neat that you can actually be and ride with others, whether you're just trying to stay motivated because you don't want to go outside possibly, or you just want to be around other people, all the way to somebody that's a world champion in the time trial, getting their true training on Zwift in these stage races. It's pretty remarkable and definitely challenging.
I'm sure Chloe didn't text you saying, "Oh my word, I feel I've really come undone." I'm sure that was a choice set of words there. What were actual words?
Yeah, I stopped for a second. I should probably, I should have probably used that a couple of these on social media, but it was quite special because she had done stage 3 before I did this past Sunday, and stage 2 we did together. Stage 3, she got on at 10 a.m. I got on at 1, and she had warned me. She's like, I didn't know there was a climb. And I go, you need to do your research just like you in any time trial. And so she had done the epic climb on stage 3, and then there was another climb after that. And she said basically that it was the longest 5K of her life, which is quite remarkable because at the World Championships, I thought that last 5K would have been the longest 5K in her life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Tour of London is more climbing this year. So again, runs every year. But this year there's 3 climbing days instead of 2. So if you're a climber, good news. There's no double draft, so it's going to be slightly tougher to stick with a group, but easier to get away. And there's this new E category. So E is for elite, and that's the racing category. So that's you, Greg. And basically it's been added for anyone who wants to race the stage. So, some people historically have viewed these events as races. Some have viewed it as casual personal challenges, where now there's officially 4 categories: A cat, long distance; B cat, short distance; C cat, women only; and then you've got the E cat, which is elite racing. So pretty cool. And this all kicks off on the 9th of December. So plenty of opportunity to have a big hit out before Christmas. Come to London, come see the Queen right down the mall. See you there. Yeah,
the E category. I have done my fair share in the A category, and wow, that was a humbling experience for myself. And the E category, I'm just like, wow, maybe I'll try the A again if all the A's go to the E's.
We'll come on to, got a little bit of a follow-on about race categories in a bit. We'll come on to that in a quick fire question later. But the main topic, we chat today with Matt Rowe, who works at Zwift. We go into all who he is and what he does exactly in the chat. So and we talk about some of the new releases coming up in game on Zwift, which are quite significant. So let's jump on in with into the chat with Matt.
All right, Matt Rowe, thanks for your time joining the podcast.
Of course, thank you. So it's a pleasure to be on the podcast for once.
You are a listener, are you? I'm putting words in your mouth there. Do you listen?
Yeah. I have listened to a good number of podcasts. I haven't listened to all of them, but from time to time when some special releases go out or launches, it's always good to hear the voices of some of the trainers and coaches that put a lot of time and effort into it.
Nice one. I appreciate your honesty. You could have just said, listen to them all, mate.
Yeah, they're
the
best.
No, so Matt, what's your role within Zwift? What are you employed to do?
Yeah, I'm a growth marketing manager for cycling. Basically, I run campaigns where it really focuses a lot on the cycling audience, the cycling brands and partnerships to ensure that we're speaking the right tone and voice to our target audience.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds good. And the office, the Zwift office, I've only been to the office once, and before I went, I had in my mind it's going to be this cycling mad office, bikes everywhere. But I guess at its heart, it's a cycling-related company, but it's a tech company, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm actually surprised you've only been once. I feel like I've seen your face a few more times, but
that's a compliment, I think.
So we're now in our second building here. Mm-hmm. When I first joined was just over 2 years ago. We were actually a couple blocks down the road in one of the buildings there. That was a very glass, there was lots of glass walls everywhere. It felt like a tech company. And then you meet some of the people that work there. I was instantly surrounded by a lot of massive enthusiasts of cyclists, ex-pro racers, big riders within the local scene, the big brand ambassadors.
Yeah.
And then, so you got this really strong cycling culture, and that's what I'm used to from the work that my previous places I've worked. But then you start taking a look around the office, or when you get shown around the office to some of the other teams, because obviously Zwift is a cycling indoor sort of company. But to make the game side of it, has to be a whole bunch of people that have come from the game and technology and all of that sort of background. And there was people that have worked on Mortal Kombat, on Call of Duty, on all these massive games, but now they're bringing that knowledge and skill to Zwift, and obviously that person is just such a very different person from a cyclist. It's created an amazing sort of dynamic. You know, I've learnt a lot from being around these sort of people, and vice versa.
So you got guys there. 1 minute you're working for, I think it's Activision, isn't it, who make Call of Duty, you know, designing a gun or something, like a tank or something. The next thing you know, you're designing a tree for Titan's Grove.
That's it. Exactly. And don't forget the dinosaurs.
The dinosaurs, yeah. Zwift's gain anyway, getting all that good talent in. And how often do you Zwift, Matt?
You know what? I Zwift infrequently, and by that I mean the times of year when I am Zwifting. So I would use it as my training tool. I'm a mountain biker at heart. Throughout my time, I've raced road, I've raced downhill, BMX, cyclocross, you know, the lot. But now, whilst I'm working, I really like to ride the trails, and I can't ride the trails midweek. I also like to race off-road. So if I can't hit the trails on the weekend or during the week, then I'll use Zwift. So I'll pretty much use Zwift 2 to 3 times a week or midweek. And on the weekend, I'll make sure that I get out, get the riding skills in, get the riding in the bunch, and also just the additional training that you build from riding in big groups and really pushing yourself is massive. So it really, really complements my training.
That's what, I as a coach, I'm always saying, I think it's in Zwift's communication as well. Zwift isn't trying to replace outdoor riding, is it? And it's trying to complement. And I think mountain biking, just speaking about then, is a prime example where if you want to be a better mountain biker, you can use Zwift to do that, but you can't just Zwift.
No,
because you're going to come to a drop off and you're not going to know what to do, are you? You're just going to nosedive.
And it's pretty apparent, you know, to seeing a lot of people that ride solely indoors, and then they think, oh, I don't need to ride that much outside on the trails. And it's like, well, you do. There's loads of techniques that you build from riding outside. But then also, on the other hand, whilst riding, if you ride a load outside, you're probably not having enough easy days or enough structure to really benefit from it. So that's where the midweek stuff comes in perfectly. You know, I have an hour lunch, hour and a half lunch, and I'll get in the zone too. I can really focus on high torque, low cadence stuff. I can focus on threshold stuff. If you try and do it outside, you either be working way too hard or too easy. You know, it goes both ways.
Yeah, exactly. Especially where you're based. I say Long Beach, outside of LA. Traffic, right?
That's it. Traffic, and a lot of flat roads, to be fair. If I want to ride on the road bike, which I'll do, there's a lot of flat roads, traffic, and even actually a port with massive trucks, like bumping along at huge paces, and it's scary. So, head to the trails or ride inside.
Nice, man. Nice. And just talk a bit about the office and your fitness and your training. Is there what's the culture in the office? Is it a culture of fitness? Is there a lot of people who train? Obviously, a lot of the gamers, I guess, may or may not be in that fitness minded. But
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, there's training. There's cyclists who train. There is people that like to stay fit, and then there are others who are just like riding in Zwift. So I would actually say the biggest culture here would be people use it for fitness. You know, it has a great community where people feel a part of, and they can really benefit from it. But at the same time, there's ex-pros here. There are aspiring athletes who really try and utilize their training with Zwift. And they seem, you know, they wouldn't be able to do what they do whilst having a full-time job and still be as good athletes as they are. So I'd say overall 70% are more fitness-based. Actually, no, that's kind of high. I would say overall 50% are fitness.
Cool.
And the other half are definitely training hard.
That's still a lot more than most companies, I'd say. Most companies, you struggle to get people to get up out of their desk and walk to the printer. You know, in the big corporate world. Especially. Yeah,
that's true. Well, I mean, when you join Zwift, people get if they ride, I think 300 miles in Zwift, then they get an allowance for a bike or even a trainer or anything that they may need to enhance their cycling or sports outside life. We definitely push people to stay as active as possible. I mean, that's one of our company ethos.
Do employees get a free subscription to Zwift, or have you got to pay for it?
Yes, for sure. We all get free. Yeah, that helps. I mean, it's not like it's that expensive as it is.
It's pennies, really, isn't it? Yeah, it's pennies.
It really is. Yeah.
So there's literally no excuses.
That helps.
Free account. There's all setups in the office. Lunchtime is calling. It's either the burger stand or jump on Zwift.
That's it. Yeah.
You know where the smart money is.
Yeah. And it's kind of nice actually. We get some equipment sent through from some of the hardware suppliers.
Of course.
And Wahoo have just recently sent through their bike.
Nice.
And that actually it makes it easier for people to jump on because it's just a bike you can jump on, adjust the saddle height, and go. You're Zwifting in no time. So that's breaking down barriers, which feels good.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zwift started out as it was all road bikes, wasn't it? I mean, you're cycling on roads. You're on a road bike. You can select in game.
That's right.
Last year there was a bit of a nod to mountain biking with the Cape Epic workout series. But now it's another step forward coming up, being released.
Yeah, that's true. So as we may know it, Zwift started off as like a road-focused sort of platform.
Yeah,
that's where the large majority of the ambitious cycling market was. A lot of people want to stay fit. A lot of people want to race. That was the easy market to go for. So it seems, fast forward 4 years until last year, we partnered with the Cape Epic, which is a 8-day stage race. Is it 8 days?
Yeah, 8 days. Yeah, Sunday to Sunday.
And it's probably one of the biggest mountain bike cross-country events in the world, and probably known by almost every cross-country athlete around the world. So we partnered with them. We did a little bit. We had some workout series with some workouts that was provided by yourself, Matt, which were great, and they actually really pushed a lot of people. They were top level workouts built for people really trying to
built for fit people, weren't they? That was some of the feedback. You're like, Matt, you're trying to kill these guys.
Yep, and you definitely killed me on a few of them as well. I was like, wait, is this for real? And then actually, doing some of those workouts that you created for the Cape Epic series was, okay, this is what I need to do to be able to win races. If I can complete all of these workouts, all of these like 350 2-minute watt intervals 10 times, 12 times, that's what I need to do to win a race. And so like that was our first introduction to off-road. And actually at the time, it was funny, in game we only have road bikes, so all of our social promotions and email promotions, and it was Cape Epic and Zwift partnership, but it was showing people on road bikes, and it's just not right. Yep. I mean, it's like, wait, I thought that was a cross-country event. So we found that we had a really great response from the audience, from our Zwifters, and it was almost very clear that there's an audience that we should be catering for. There's an audience that cares about mountain biking, maybe more than we thought, for the indoor training environment. So that kicked off ideas in a lot of people's heads here in the company, especially mine. I'm for the last few years, I've kind of lived, breathed, and sweated mountain bike cycling and racing. So I somewhat took upon myself as well to make a push for it. I mean, I should probably explain, getting bikes into game, getting workouts into the game is actually a huge undertaking by the team. So if we want to get a mountain bike into the game, we can't just say, hey, game team, create a mountain bike and put it into the game.
So I guess there's twofold on that. One is the creating of the visual asset, and rights as well. You need to kind of you dialogue with all the different brands. Says I can imagine all this.
You can't
involved.
Just like switch that on overnight. Yeah. No. And there has to be the business element, and time, priorities. We've been doing a lot of things over the last year. We've just launched our partnership with the UCI for the Road World Championships e-racing category. That's a big deal.
Huge.
And there's only so much people at our company. I know we're still like hitting around 250, 300 people working here, but obviously we're all spread thin.
Do you know what I remember, Matt? At
go on.
Zwift Week last year, when someone from the design team jumped on stage and basically illustrated the process of creating a map and how detailed it was. The idea of putting a tree in and creating some mountains, and I guess how quickly he could create a basic map. Within an hour, you could kind of create some sort of terrain and visually pleasing set of roads. But to make it look world class, it's kind of months and months and months and months and months of team of people's time, all the shading. And there's one bit that really got me. It was windows. It's going up the Zwift. It's kind of and there's like shading in the windows as if there was a shadow or reflection. That kind of attention to detail. And then the concluding comments were, you don't notice that we do that in game, but if we didn't do it, you'd notice we didn't do it. So it's like that type of thing.
And that demonstration that you saw was done using assets that already exist, that the design team have already created.
Sure.
Now, if you go into what the design team go into to create those assets in the first place, they research different parts of the world which they want to kind of create this feeling for.
Do they get to go there?
Research what?
Do they jump on a plane and go visit, or is it?
We did have someone go out to Innsbruck for the World Championship course that we created the other year to sort of take a load of pictures, take a video, to map things out from the ground. So there's a whole process before it even gets to the assets to then making and creating the world. And the same goes for bikes. I mean, we can model it on imagery, but we have to speak to the manufacturers and go through all those processes, and then to get those into game, that's a couple of weeks, and this is a lot of man hours. And again, actually, for the mountain bikes, they have a different geometry. So as the rider in game, the avatar, it's based on animations, and there's touch points. So the hands for a road cyclist in the game, they're animated to be where a road handlebar is supposed to be, like narrow and facing forwards. The geometry of the bike, maybe the bottom bracket is a little bit lower, the saddle height maybe a little bit further up and back or something. Well, with a mountain bike, all of a sudden they need to create different animations for that avatar. The handlebars are flat, they're wide, the saddle position and the bottom bracket may become higher because of the suspension of the bike, and then the saddle position may come a little further forwards, and all of a sudden now they've had to create not only a new bike, new geometries of the bike, different animation touch points of the bike, and also components. We're currently creating, they're not going to make it into this current release, but there is, like the SRAM XX1 Eagle components or Shimano XTR mountain bike components to put on these mountain bikes. That's another phase in itself. And you can see that asking the game team to say, just make a bike, has to be thought really, really well thought through. So, that brings us back to Cape Epic. It did great. We had a great response from it. How can we now make mountain biking, off-roading happen within Zwift? And
so we're getting more mountain biking in Zwift.
I think so.
Yeah, there we go.
6 months after the Cape Epic and that project, we've just launched off-road within Zwift, and it's been a long process to get it here. Actually, there's been a lot of people to just get the backing from, make sure we get the support, make sure we're making the right decisions. But what we're releasing with is 6 new bikes within game, and they're all off-road bikes. I should probably explain what off-road means for this release. We can't just say mountain biking, we can't just say gravel, can't just say cyclocross. So it's an off-road release. And so with this release, we're going to have 6 new bikes. There will be 3 cross-country mountain bikes. We'll have a Scott Spark RC, which is the same bike ridden by Nino Schurter and Kate Courtney now. We'll have the Specialized S-Works Epic, ridden by Annika Langbad. And we will also have the Canyon Lux, which you will see Matthew van der Poel racing the last year. So we'll have those 3 mountain bikes in. We will have on the gravel bike side, we'll have a Cervelo Aspero, sort of a lightweight aero kind of gravel bike, which is pretty cool.
Okay. Yep.
We'll have a Canyon Grau, which is visually quite very different from most gravel bikes, or even any gravel bike out there, because it has that double handlebar. So that sets that one apart, which was quite interesting.
It's not to be confused with the Pinarello Gual. That's the time trial bike. So there's a Pinarello Gual, and this is a Canyon Gual.
Right. Wait.
So there's a different. Yeah, there's a Pinarello Graal, just like that kind of model.
Okay.
Just not to get confused, I guess, for the listeners.
Sure.
So you're not going to be doing a gravel ride on a time trial bike, basically.
No, that's right. Yeah, and then on the cyclocross bike, we'll have another Canyon in flight, which again is ridden by Matthew van der Poel.
Nice.
We'll also be introducing a Zwift gravel bike. This is entry level. This is available to everyone. You can unlock this bike at level 1, which is important. You still have to spend a little bit of money.
Drops currency, isn't it?
Drops, right? Yeah, you still have to spend a little in-game drops. That's right.
In-game drops. That's money. We call it money.
It's not money. And actually, the interesting thing about that Zwift gravel bike is how much it costs in drops. As a conversion, is the same allowance that the Zwift staff has once they've finished their 300 miles.
Interesting.
Yeah. Whatever that.
$50 then. $50, 50 quid.
No, it's a little more.
Bit more generous.
But yeah, it's a conversion to that, which is quite cool. I think. And
yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice that there's meaning to it and thinking got into it as opposed to just a figure plucked out of the air.
That's it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll have those bikes went in, and what that does actually mean is that these bikes have their own rolling resistances, different to the road bike, of course.
Yep.
As we know, the road bike is fast on road. Up until previously, it's been the same rolling resistance everywhere. So road, gravel, cobbles, the resistance has been the same. But introducing a gravel bike and a mountain bike, things need to change. So now the road bike is slower on the gravel. The gravel bike will have a sort of blend of both worlds.
Nice.
Somewhat fast on gravel, somewhat fast on tarmac. And then we'll have the mountain bike, which is going to be pretty slow on tarmac. Pretty good on the gravel, but of course, right now is the mountain bike will be the bike with all of the grip and all of the control to get you through the single track. That's where that bike shines.
Sure, and that's where the steering feature comes in, I guess. That's where it's all going to come into its own. So if you choose a road bike, you don't get the steering feature.
No, you can't ride the road bike on the single track.
Oh, you can't? Okay, yeah, fine. That makes sense. Okay, awesome. So we got all those bikes, and there's more. There's more in this next release, Matt. That's just happened. We've got
that's
training plans, right?
We have some training plans. We'll start with the gravel training plan. We've just introduced the beginner level pebble pounder. That's what the training plan is called.
Okay.
It's the smaller, more achievable version of the gravel grinder that already exists in game. So now people can ride the pebble pounder. They can get used to riding, what they'll expect to see out on the gravel roads.
Nice.
And they're generally going to be around 30 minutes in length. They're not going to be overly taxing, but you're still going to hit your zone 5s, your zone 4s, the hard levels.
Pebble pounder. And who wrote that plan?
The pebble pounder was written by Shane Gaffney.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been writing quite a few of our workouts recently, and he does an amazing job actually of creating the messaging and really explaining what the efforts are doing, and
he's tricky to do, right?
It's
really
extremely tricky to do.
I mean, I've created a lot of sessions in my time, and one half of it is creating the physical side of the session, of the efforts. Mm-hmm. The text and the commentary equally important for that. Motivation, keeping you informed of what the hell you're doing. But tricky to do it well and in a succinct way without covering the screen in loads of words every 5 seconds.
Yeah, and writing the wrong comment at the wrong interval block.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the hard part, and he's managed to do it well. I mean, when you write these things, you've got to think as if you're right next to the athlete as they're doing the workout, and as a coach, you're telling them, okay, this effort coming up, this is going to hit this. It's going to hit be 120 of your FTP. And it's like, wait, what's FTP mean? Well, FTP means this.
Sure.
And you've got to explain, making sure that they understand every step of the way. So, yeah, the trainer writing all those comments is super key to adding more value to the rider's training.
Yeah.
That's the new gravel workout that we've introduced, which goes alongside its gravel grinder. And then we have
drum roll. Here we go.
Here we go.
It's the big one.
And here's the big one. We are introducing the cross-country or mountain bike training plan named the Dirt Destroyer.
Oh, sounds good, doesn't it? Sounds hard.
Yep, it sounds hard, right? You're not just going to destroy the dirt. You're going to potentially destroy your legs
exactly
as you get ready for it.
Exactly. And this one,
this one was written by no other than Matt Rowe.
Me, yay!
That's you, yeah.
And for those of you who've never written a session, just kind of the amount of work that goes into creating these, it's unbelievable. And so Shane, who's wrote the Pebble Pounder, and Kev, who's written the advanced version of the mountain bike plan. Fair one, chaps. So
which is coming soon.
Yep. Yeah. What's that one called?
That one's going to be single track Slayer, and that's not going to be available in this release. We're gonna bring it when most people are going to start thinking about training hard, which is January.
Sure.
Maybe if we released it right now, we don't want people getting into the last build phase before a race in December.
No,
it's
no, exactly.
Yeah, let's keep them hanging. Let's keep them doing a little bit more base.
Keep them hanging. And no, what's good about it? So the Dirt Destroyer, again, I've designed that as an intermediate plan. So
they
kind of follow on.
Matt,
I guess they follow on quite nicely.
Yeah, exactly. So Matt, as you created this training plan, how would you say it differs to what you'd expect from a road workout?
Good question. I guess that was the question I presented to myself when you first asked me to create a mountain bike workout. I was thinking, what is the difference? So taking mountain bike, whilst there are similarities to road riding in that you're on a bike for a fairly long period of time, the demands of a mountain bike event are actually very different to road racing or road riding. Simply looking at the power profile of a mountain bike ride, you'll notice the highly variable power output. You may say it's stochastic in nature. You're basically generally on or off the gas in mountain biking. So either 0 watts downhill, obviously upper body's working, or you're in kind of zone 5 or zone 6 to get up a steep bank or over a rock bed or over some roots or something. Now you don't time trial your way over technical sections. You smash it just to get through it and get over it. So obviously there are sections in mountain biking where you ride in zone 3, zone 4, open sections where you can get some speed, fire tracks, gravel paths, blah, blah, blah. Long climbs where you settle into a rhythm. But your power in mountain biking is much more all over the place compared to the road, which is what we're trying to train. And if you think about it, the way you produce power and watts is different in mountain biking versus the road. You're much more reliant on your strength. So the watts you produce, the power is the force you apply multiplied by velocity, so how quickly you apply that force. So basically the torque by the cadence. Now in mountain biking, for coordination and handling, and because you don't want to be changing gear whilst you're riding really hard.
Right, that's it. Bank. Sometimes you can come over that little crest or down a single track, and you were presented by this steep climb that you were not ready for. You didn't get in the right gear for, and you can't change gear because it's already too late. You're on that climb. You've got to grind it out now, right?
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And if you've got a steep bank, you kind of just take a run at it, and the start of the bank you may be doing 100 revs a minute, you're going full gas, but then by the time you get up to it 10 seconds later, you're literally just getting over the lump, and you might be hitting 40 revs a minute. And in that scenario, to produce enough power to get up that hill, you're doing it at a much lower cadence, which means that the force and the torque needs to be so much greater to still produce enough power to get up that climb. And producing that crazy amount of torque is quite an alien sensation for many, and this needs to be trained. So there's plenty of low cadence work in the Dirt Destroyer training plan, lots of repeated efforts to replicate the demands of having to make lots of repeated efforts above threshold in mountain biking. But that said, being fit and aerobically good is also important. There's plenty of threshold efforts in there too, and ramps. I love a good ramp. So expect to complete load of ramps, and that's ramp ups and ramp downs, varying cadences, all of which I believe lend themselves to the varying nature of mountain biking. So should be.
And I
fun.
look forward to diving into the Dirt Destroyer training plan when that time comes around for me in my training season. Because I know that will build the strength perfectly, and then it would also lead me on and make me prepared and ready to then hit the single track Slayer, which is the advanced plan where you start working a lot more on the top end and basically everything you'll need to crush your next race.
Yep, absolutely. And the Dirt Destroyer, 6 weeks. It's got a free ride every week where you're kind of encouraged to get out and mountain bike in real life. As you're saying, Matt,
super important,
right? And then Kev's single track Slayer. I still owe you a pint for that, for giving Kev the longer plan to write up. I appreciate that. That's kind of that's the advanced plan. So that's going to be super tough out in January, as Matt says. Yeah, amazing. So mountain bike is going to be a genuinely kind of core, fundamental part of Zwift. Exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when we say there's an off-road release, people may expect there to be a little bit more than training plans and bikes, and they may want to see more trails in game. And as we've kind of outlined already, getting trails or terrain and all the above to happen requires a lot of manpower. So whilst we weren't able to do anything for this release, we're thinking about it.
Ooh, teaser. Thinking about it. You're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, mate, good to chat. And see you on a mountain bike sometime, maybe.
Oh, I can't wait. Maybe we'll see you. Maybe we'll see you out at the Cape Epic, and we'll have a little head-to-head on one of the stages.
That would be epic. Take care of yourself.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
There we go, guys. Some big news there. Some big takeaways and, I guess, upgrades, I'll call it, to Zwift as we know it.
Yeah, the Matt chat with Matt. It was
double Matt.
It was actually very interesting, wasn't it? And I think it's just a testament to Zwift and how they're always ever trying to change and upgrade, like you said. So, what have we got? 6 new in-bikes now, 6 new gravel bikes, mountain bikes. It's it's going to be pretty awesome, isn't it?
The key thing, I think, is going to be making sure you change the bike you ride in when you change circuits and terrain. If you've got a gravel bike and then you jump and do a race or a Fondo on Zwift, obviously, Matt mentioned in the chat there about the increased run resistance and how that will be slower. So you've got to be a bit switched on now to make sure you've got the right bike for the right job or the right terrain.
I just spent $1 million drops on a brand new time trial bike too, so I can't ride my time trial bike in the gravel races.
Yeah, I'm excited to share the news with some of the athletes I coach. I think that I have somebody I work with that is a mountain biker, and she's already on Zwift, and so I think that this is just going to be an exciting addition. Like Greg said, I think Zwift is continually pushing the envelope and really trying to not just keep up, but also keep up with the asks of their community, which is, I think, super important, especially as you grow. We know how quickly software changes. We know how quickly technology changes, and these days in today's society, we're always just asking for more and more. So I'm impressed with how Zwift is really just moving quickly on pretty much all fronts.
Yeah, pretty impressive. I reckon we'll have a BMX in game one day. God knows where. It'll happen. Community stories then. What's as always, an amazing community in Zwift. So, we got a little special story.
Yeah, I think I love the community stories on Zwift. I think that, we've heard so many times, anywhere from proposals to getting back from injury, back to the road. And I think that just shows the power of Zwift. And this story really is near and dear to my heart because one of our community members, Scott T., has shared a story about his son who was recently diagnosed with diabetes type 1 and how he has been able to get back on and manage a few miles through Zwift. And so part of his birthday was to get him a new bike. And you can see him just pedaling on social media, and it just really is a testament to, we may think, oh, it's really impactful for those who love to ride or for a certain demographic, but we're truly hitting the youth. And I know it's an overused cliche to say that the youth are, our future, but truly they are. And to see that, and to see activity, and to see that Zwift is helping people not just become more fit to go out and race, but they're also impacting people's health. And it's a tool that even this young boy can use as he is managing his levels while he just recently was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
Awesome. Good on him. Good on him. I wonder what the youngest Zwifter is. I'm not aware of an age limit, a lower end age limit. I bet we've got some. I bet there's been like a 4-year-old who's put their leg over a bike on Zwift somewhere.
I thought there was an age limit. I know there's a weight limit. I'm pretty sure there is.
45 kilos, yeah.
Is there not an age limit?
I'm not aware of one, and off the top of my head, I'm not sure why there would be. If you can ride a bike.
Yeah, true. You don't even have to ride a bike, do you? It's you're held in a stationary trainer, so
yeah, exactly.
It's safer than any other place. So yeah, I can't see any reason why there would be.
Oh, could be a Guinness World Record there. Youngest Zwifter.
Youngest Zwifter to Everest.
To Everest, yeah. Epic. You're planting some seeds there. That's the problem. You'll have someone getting their daughter or son on Zwift
and flogging them
straight out of nappies. Quality. Also, Greg, how's your pulse, mate?
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. Look, let's be honest. The cycling terminology, I did stump Kristin last time with a bag of spanners. So, and now she's about to lay one on me. So, yeah, I am a bit nervous. I've got 30 seconds, but I'm going to try my best.
Awesome. Well, I got the clock ready whenever you guys are.
I just want to preface it with, I am going to take the high road on this and really tune in to our listeners and really get back to educating and let's learn about cycling terminology. And I've already heard Greg mention this word already in today's podcast. And so he probably is familiar with this, but here's the challenge is within 30 seconds, I'm curious of how he will describe this word to our listeners, because this is a really important piece. And I think there's been a lot of questions around what does this word actually mean, especially while we're riding indoors. So Matt, are you ready with that timer?
I'm ready.
Okay, Greg. Define drops.
Drops. Now, there could be anything. Are we talking about the handlebar drops that we ride in, or are we talking about sweat drops on our ergo? I think we're talking about...
Time's ticking.
Sweat drops on the ergo is every time you ride your bike, you earn sweat drops, the accumulated sweat drops, and you can exchange those for bikes or wheels in-game on Zwift.
How much is one drop worth?
Yes.
30 seconds. Good effort. It's funny how that's an example of, we use the term in everyday chat and we know what it means. When under pressure, when you've got to define it, kind of unpeel a layer and kind of go into a bit more detail, how hard it gets.
Totally.
So how much is it worth? One drop, Kristin?
1 cent. 1 US cent.
There you go. If I remember correctly, it all a biking game equates to what it would cost in real life.
So that's about $4 New Zealand dollars. I'm rich.
I brought that term to light again because I think that there was a time where I was on Zwift and drops suddenly occurred on my ride, and so I had an opportunity to go and research a bit about drops, and I just thought it was really interesting in how you can purchase your equipment and your wheel set and your new frame, and you can earn drops. And so I always had been thinking in the back of my mind that just to bring that back up to everyone's attention, I think there's a great write-up on Zwift Insider that you can really geek out on, and I found it to be super interesting.
Nice. Bike you choose in-game, do you choose the bike that you ride in real life, or do you kind of go for your dream bike that you've always wanted to ride?
Dream bike,
yeah.
Yeah, I do dream bike, and then obviously, if I'm not like about 1 minute to start, because I am always in a hurry, I will think about, the terrain, what wheel should I ride? It's pretty fun to really start thinking about how can I perform my best on which pieces of equipment. And then you see some of the things that you haven't unlocked or purchased, and you're kind of like, oh, I want to do that. And yeah, I have yet to earn the Tron, so I'm working towards that.
Get climbing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you gave me the tip of actually having to enter into earning the Tron as a challenge.
Yes. Don't forget to do that.
That catches so many people out.
Yeah, I took those notes, Greg. I took them and was like, wow, because I was wondering why I hadn't earned my Tron bike until you mentioned that on one of our recent podcasts.
Yeah, because it caught me out too.
Thanks for the tip. And now soon I'll have my Tron bike and you'll be like, oh, why did I give her that tip?
It goes straight on your resume, eh? Like, we don't really care about your 3 gold medals at the Olympic Games.
You know what? That's in the past. I have to think about new things in my life.
It's the Tron bike. It goes straight to the top of the
Kristin
resume.
Armstrong, Tron bike
You know, I have the Tron bike, and then whenever the way I motivate myself, if there's not an event or a great workout being offered at the exact time I need to ride, one of the ways I motivate myself is when I get on and I choose a course, I have to win a sprint and a climb jersey before I get off. So typically I just go all out the first 15 minutes, and then I just I did my what I set out to do. It's the little things in life now.
Lucky you don't set that goal, Matt. You'd be on the bike all day.
I'll never get off it, yeah. I'd have to go on at 4 a.m. when nobody's online.
No, I know. You have to strategically, normally I'm 2:30 in the afternoon. Everyone's napping.
Yeah, quality. Cool. Quick fire question then, guys. The question, auto-assigning a race category in Zwift, good idea, yes or no? Let me just put a little bit of context around that. And I mean, if you produce a performance worthy of being, say, an A rider, should you automatically be categorized as an A, which means you can't select another category to race in? Yes or no?
I don't think it's a good idea. Auto-assigning is not a good idea. I think you should be able to race down a grade.
I would have to agree. Now that Zwift has come out with the E group, I think that this will solve some of the concern that there may be. There's been many times where I want to race in different categories depending on what I'm trying to get out of it.
Yeah, interesting. I kind of think it's a good idea, but it would require some functionality to potentially then override. So if you have a bunch of time off, say you've had 2 months off, for example, and you want to jump in and do a Zwift race, you should be able to declare, I'm a shell at the minute, lower my category.
Yes.
But then if you put, say, a B cap performance in and you're registered C, boom, I think you should be promoted. But of course, there's more to it, isn't there, than just what's peculiar over the duration of the event, like your ability to make big effort, your ability to produce capacity efforts in a race, and the ability to recover. So there's more to it than just those one-off metrics in training. So I think it's not quite as simple as auto-assigning based off one or two race performances. So tricky one. All right, we got a couple of questions. One question is for us to talk about, a normal question, and another question we had to kind of go to Zwift for comment on because it was a bit of a tricky one. So when we wanted to get the official line, so let's go to the question where we got a view from Zwift first. And the question is from David Trapp, and this was sent in via the Zwift forum. And David's question reads, with all of the esports hype going on into Zwift right now, I feel like an industry standard needs to go into smart trainers. There isn't a single serious PC gamer that would ever use a wireless keyboard and mouse. It seems like smart trainers should have the ability to plug into devices. I have a Wahoo and currently have a H3 and both have briefly disconnected during a race. At my level, it isn't a big deal, but I can imagine it would be at a World Championship level. Has this come up at all? So, tricky one, and I guess we had to go to Zwift for the official line. So Zwift say they are committed to working closely with the markets, hardware providers, to deliver business growth, innovations for cyclists, runners, and triathletes, and create a more immersive and better value customer experience. And as the indoor industry leader in training, Zwift will continue its commitment to grow the market for industry hardware sales. Great. And the vision of a better integration between partner hardware and Zwift software aligns with our ambition for esports. And with the first UCI Cycling Esports World Championships taking place next year, we at Zwift need to ensure we take on the responsibility of certifying trainers for esports competitions at the highest level, where world titles and prize money is on the line. And this certification process will be a key responsibility for the department. And but by department, this is the new tech division that has been created within Zwift to focus on ensuring reliability and credibility of hardware. So I don't think we're going to go into it anymore. There's the kind of official line, but has it come up was David's question, and yes, it has come up. It is acknowledged that reliability and accuracy of trainers needs to be bang on, and Zwift are addressing it. They're working on it.
So they've got a new fitness technology division.
Yeah,
I mean something has to be official for the UCI. And once that becomes a world-class event, and with a world championships, there definitely has to be an industry standard.
Yeah, and I guess with the world champs next year, I guess it's kind of forced Zwift's hand a little. Otherwise, there may have been less of an urgent need. But either way, whatever developments are made, the community, we're all bound to benefit from. So, yeah. All right, guys. Question 2. And question 2 is from Dear Arsha, and this was sent in via Facebook. And Dear's question reads, "Hi guys, thank you for your efforts with the Zwift podcast, 5 stars. Well, thank you, Dear. And the biggest draw for me in Zwift are group rides, especially tours or challenges. The Vox Women Tour was probably my all-time favourite, as I was able to finish in the middle of the pack each stage, which was female only. Fingers crossed Zwift brings some more Fondo-style events, especially for us females. What would be your advice for how to train for Zwift Fondo events, and what type of sessions should I try and get done? Thank you, Dia."
Well, I think that's a great question. I believe that in order to be your best for Zwift Fondo events, there's a lot of different elements. There's a lot of different kinds of rides that you can do. I look at Zwift, and when I look at the event calendar and I look at my companion app, I truly am looking at these different categories. It's kind of how I see the list of events when I'm looking for one myself. And so you have a category of, you have a social ride. So those are super low key, maybe 2 watts per kilo, 2.5. And then you have events that I would call them the structured training that you can do. And there are set intervals. You're with a group, but those intervals, it's structured, it's set, it's written by a coach. And then you have the events such as the stage races, Giro de Castelli that just finished up. We have the Tour de London that's coming up as well. And those are great opportunities to step in and commit and make yourself accountable. But when you look at these 4 different types of events, you have kind of these longer 1-day races or 3-day races or events. You have the structured training written by a coach. And you have the recovery kind of social rides. You also have ones that are weekly that are more races. So it could be like the Richmond race. So it's like 1 hour and you get to choose your category. So I think a mix of these is really going to help you perform best in your Zwift Grand Fondo, your Fondo events that you're interested in doing. I say that because, number one, you need to train all your systems. In any of the Fondo events I've done with Zwift, you're starting from the gun, you're going hard, you're climbing, you need strength endurance, you need your threshold, you need VO2. Every system is hit in any Zwift Fondo. And on top of that, you definitely need your recovery days. So if you're leaning on Zwift to ride all your training throughout the week, you need to rely on these social, easier rides to keep you really from breaking through that barrier and not going too hard, because it's easy to go really hard on Zwift. And then the last one is just to practice the strategy around when you start any kind of Zwift event. It could be the Fondo, it could be a stage race. You got to learn how to start, because what happens is before you know it, you have group 1, group 2, group 3 all off the front, and you're like, well, why wasn't I there? I'm capable of being there, but you never get back up there. And so it's all about, showing up to the start on time and making sure that you're starting strong. And that takes fitness, that takes the structured workouts that coaches such as Matt are writing on the back end for some of the structured workouts you have a choice of doing. So my answer for you is to truly mix and match everything that Zwift has to offer, but use that companion app to do so and really mix it up throughout the week.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic answer, and I totally agree with everything you said there. The only thing I would probably add to that, dear, I would say make sure, again, on the nutrition side, you've got your drink bottles, you've got so much fluid, you've got your fan cranked, because, you know, these Fondos are longer events. You do heat up on the ergo. So, yeah, just from that perspective, make sure you've got your drinks, make sure you start hydrated, and you've got the windows open and they've cranked your fan.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Good
that's
advice,
a good point.
guys. Good advice. Here's a question for you then. How deep should you go off the start? You know, in these Fondo events, there's, you know, you opt into the race category. There's going to be a wide range of ability in that race category, and so say it's an hour. It's going to be an hour stage. In that first couple of minutes, how deep should you be willing to go before you accept that you're going to lose contact with that group you're in?
It normally splits within a couple of minutes anyway, and it's in groups, and you find yourself in a group within, but you've got to commit for the first couple of minutes, and it's got to be right on your VO2 max, like right on your capacity. And, you know, someone's capacity might be 500 watts, someone's capacity might be 300 watts, and that's going to instantly separate the groups. So it's it's definitely a hard start, but once it calms down almost instantly after that. So, and it gets to a really, really comfortable pace that you know that you can handle for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something you have to be aware of. It's definitely something I would touch on from in my training schedule. But it's part of Zwift. It's a part of a Zwift event, isn't it?
Yeah.
I find that depending on the group that I enter, whether it's A, B, C, if it's all female, a mix of men and women, kind of a field. I feel like just my recent experience doing 3 stages at the Giro this past week, after day 1, I realized like this group of 500, they were well beyond. There was a group of probably, 30, 50 people that were well beyond where I am fitness wise. So I made the mistake on day 1 of like even trying the first 2 minutes to stay with them. And what happened was I got shuffled through, I would say, another group that I shouldn't have gotten shuffled through because I went way too hard. And so it's kind of looking at where do you think you can perform within this group? Because you could go backwards 3 groups if you're not careful, where if you really stay within yourself and be realistic and know where you would make that cut, then you might end up in that a couple of groups ahead of where you would if you completely explode yourself in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I've done that before
good
a couple
advice.
times.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key is you got to feel it, haven't you? It's just, as you're saying, there's no number. It's kind of, you've got to go deep.
Yep.
But you've got to be able to, then settle into, around a threshold effort for the next 20 minutes, half an hour. And if you go too deep and your legs are absolutely throbbing full of lactate, you're just going to go bang and go back through God knows how many groups.
It sounds like how I used to climb at the Tour de France, actually. Go back through that many friggin' groups.
Yeah, flapping like a frog in a sock.
Yeah.
But, I think that's the point is it's so important before you have a set event that you're going for to practice this, because if you don't practice it, you will be shocked what happens on the actual event day that you want to focus on. So I think doing a few events that are just practice events are really important, because Zwift and competing on Zwift is very different than what you may expect when you are outside. There's just some different pieces and elements. I would say it's probably more like the start of a cyclocross race or a mountain bike race or a criterium than it is maybe a road race. So
yeah, for
yes,
sure.
100%.
You know what I find as well is the amount of people in the last third of the event that just blow up and start drifting backwards.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's a lesson of it. If you just keep going, keep your head down, you will move up a couple of positions. You might find yourself in a group of, say, 6 riders in 80th place. But I guarantee you'll probably overtake in the last 20 minutes or so, or last third of the event, you probably overtake 10 guys. Just towards the end, just don't give up. Keep plodding away. Keep your head down, and don't give in. All right, good to chat, guys. Greg, enjoy the rest of your camp. Kristin, I see you opening some gyms in the US. How's all that going? And a new nutrition range as well. You've got lots going on.
Have my new nutrition line called Pivot Nutrition by KA, and then we have a couple. I just opened up my second fitness center. Everything's going great, It's all about what's that next thing in life, and always trying to top what can I do outside of bike racing. And I think now what I've learned is it's not. I've accomplished what I want to accomplish for myself. I call it the selfish goals in my life. But now I feel like I can really, truly focus on helping others be their best. So that's my perspective, and it's a lot of fun. And I think, Greg, you're going to find that, this week, we underestimate all the knowledge we have to share with others. And when you start affecting people's lives and they start sharing the stories back with you, you guys will obviously have probably already realized how appreciative and how much we do have to share with communities, whether it's the Zwift community, pro tour teams, athletes, just normal people. There's a lot of it just feels good. It feels good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. And that's actually one of the head physiologists here. Like, obviously I went back to university, finished off my science degrees, and he said, the first thing he said to me was, don't lose that knowledge that you've got from years and years of racing, because you can't learn that stuff at university. Bring that to a race, bring that to people, share that for everyone, and it's actually, it's a golden moment to actually be able to have that experience and pass it on. It like you said, it's that next stage in your life, and it feels really good, and it feels really nice to pass on information and just help people. Almost sort of pave a pathway, isn't it? For younger athletes or younger people heading in that direction.
Absolutely. And I guess it's what we're trying to do on the podcast as well.
Absolutely.
Just sharing all this knowledge out, share our thoughts. But good stuff. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Chat to you on the next podcast. Maybe could be a good one next time, Greg. Get the gorilla on. Your friend Andre, as you're with him.
Yes. Good idea. Yep, I'll get him on the podcast.
Christmas special.
Christmas special with the big gringo.
Christmas special with the gringo. Sounds good.
Righto, guys. Nice to
Cool.
chat.
Speak soon.